So I've gone ahead and strung some size 11 brown seed beads onto 26 gauge copper core wire in a brown color, and we are going to make the stamen for our Black-Eyed Susan. So the pattern, we have 3 different units that we're going to be making for the stamen. Unit A is this one that we're going to be making here, and the pattern for that is 7 continuous loops using 9 beads per loop. I'm going to leave a small tail wire at the beginning. 2 or 3 inches will be fine. And then I'm going to count out 9 beads, and I'm going to fold those beads in half. I'm going to hold those beads tight between my thumb and forefinger to make sure that no gaps form between any of my beads. And then I'm going to grab those beads with my other hand and twist it 3 times to twist those 2 wires below. Now there's our first loop. We need 6 more to make 7 total loops. So I'm going to count out 9 more beads. And I'm going to leave a small space in my wire, just enough space to be able to make a few twists and have a little bit of room left over. I'll hold that space tightly with my thumb and forefinger so it doesn't shrink, and then fold those beads in half. And then again I'm going to grab and twist 3 times, which is 1.5 full rotations, to make the second loop. Count out 9 more beads, leave a small space in the wire, fold, twist. And my last loop here, 9 beads, leave a space, fold, twist. Alright, so there's my last loop, and we're going to close this unit so it looks like a little tuft. So while my wire is still attached to my spool here, I'm going to take this long working end and I'm going to cross it over between the second and third loops that I made. And I'm going to pull that in as I pull the wire down to the bottom, which is going to take that 7th loop, that last one that we made, and put it right in the center. I'm going to hold that and then I'm going to switch to my other wire, my starting tail wire, and I'm going to loop that around that 6th loop, the one right beside the 7th, and I'm going to bring that again to the bottom. So that's going to close all those loops into a little cluster like this, like a little tuft. And then I'm going to twist the 2 tail wires below. And you don't need to twist all the way down, just a few twists to secure it will be just fine. So there is the Unit A that we need to make our stamen. If you're making the full stem of Black-Eyed Susan, you need to make 3 of these, 1 for each flower and 1 for the bud. Alright, now let's talk about the other units that we need to make for our stamen. I have here, this is Unit B, and the pattern for Unit B is 7 continuous loops using 11 beads per loop. So you'll make it exactly the same way as Unit A, but you'll use 11 beads instead of 9. And we're also going to close this a little bit differently because we don't need this one to be a tuft shape. We're just going to take one of the ends of wire and we're going to loop it around one of the loops on the opposite side to close it into a circle. And I'm going to center my wire, so I'm going to take that wire across to the bottom and loop it around one of the loops on the opposite side. And then you'll end up with both wires, one wire on one side and one wire on the other, and then you can twist them together in the center. And again, you don't need to twist down very far, just a little ways will be fine. So there is Unit B, and you need to make 3 of these as well, 1 for each of the flowers and 1 for the bud. Now this one is Unit C. It's going to be made just like Unit B, but with a couple extra loops. The pattern is 9 continuous loops using 11 beads per loop. And you're going to close that exactly the same way as you did Unit B. And you need to make 8 of these, 3 for each flower and then 2 for the bud. We're going to go ahead and assemble our stamen now. Normally I don't like to assemble until I've made all of my pieces, but in this case I don't really want to get all these little pieces mixed up and have to recount them over and over again. So I'm just going to go ahead and assemble it now to get them out of the way. Now I'm going to show you how to assemble the flower stamen, and then we're going to talk about the bud stamen. Alright, so I'm going to take Unit A, which is the little tuft, and Unit B, which is the one with 7 loops. And I'm going to insert the stem wire of Unit A right into the middle of Unit B and push it all the way through. Fold those loops from Unit B around Unit A. And then I'm going to do the same thing with each of these 3 Unit C. I'm going to put all of the stem wires through the hole. If you kind of pinch them all together, they don't separate as much and it gets a little bit easier to put them all through. Alright, so it should look something like this. And I'm going to go through all of my pieces and I'm going to make sure that my loops aren't lining up with the unit in front. So you see how these are kind of stacked on top of each other? I'm going to twist these units a little bit so that they aren't lined up exactly. And I'm going to hold all those tightly together. I'm going to push my thumb down in the center and then these two fingers up from the bottom to hold them all together. And then I'm just going to twist all these wires together at the bottom. And you want to try and twist these as smoothly as you can. And I'm going to go around and kind of mold it a little bit. And again, I'm going to check my loops. You can kind of shift them around if you need to. Alright, so there is 1 flower stamen. You should have enough pieces to make 2 of these if you're making the full flower stem. So you'll need to repeat that again. Now if you're making the bud to go along with your stem, your bud stamen is just going to be a little bit shorter than the flower stamen. You'll use 1 Unit A, 1 Unit B, and either 1 or 2 of Unit C. You can choose for yourself exactly how tall you want to make it. But it'll be assembled exactly the same way, just with fewer units.